So, every once in a while, the lectionary irks me a bit. One of the wonderful things about our lectionary, of course, is that there are Christians all over the world hearing this gospel this morning, and there are thousands and thousands of sermons being preached on this parable. But the lectionary does funny things for our sake, and one of them is that we're missing a big chunk of this. Jesus tells the parable at the beginning about the seeds, and then he doesn't explain himself at all. And the disciples get irked with him and say, "What are you talking about?" And then Jesus says, they say, "Why are you speaking to the people in parables?" All these people, right? Thousands of people are gathering around to hear you, and you've given them this confusing riddle about someone planting seeds. He doesn't explain anything, right? I'll read this to you one more time just so you can have this in your head. Sower went out to sow. As he sowed, some seeds fell on the path, and the birds ate them. Other seeds fell on rocky ground where they didn't have much soil, and they sprang up quickly, and since they had no depth of soil, when the sun rose, they died. Other seeds grew in thorns, and the thorns choked them. And other seeds fell in good soil, and they produced fruit, some 100-fold, some 60, some 30. Done. Anyway, preached that and walked away. Right? And they came all this way to see you, and they've left confused and befuddled. And then Jesus goes on, and he says, he replies, "Why are you speaking to the people in parables?" And he replies, "Because the knowledge of the secrets of the kingdom of heaven has been given to you, but not to them." And he says, "This is why I speak to them in parables. Though seeing, they do not see. Though hearing, they do not hear or understand. In them is fulfilled the prophecy of Isaiah. You will be ever hearing, but never understanding. You will be ever seeing, but never perceiving. For the people's heart has become calloused. They hardly hear with their ears, and they have closed their eyes." So there's whenever I receive a parable, I always have this overwhelming desire to just tell the parable story and then sit down and leave us all in confusion and befuddlement for 5 to 10 minutes. I'm not doing that this morning, but I have a deep desire to do that. So instead, what I'm going to do is I want to suggest to you that the parable itself is a kind of seed. And I think the parables have survived. A lot of people say that they were the very first things that were written down that Jesus said. Remember that Jesus didn't write anything down. So the parables, they were easy to understand because they were confusing, they were riddles, they were using the things that everybody saw around them, and they survived. Render unto Caesar what is Caesar's, and to God what is God's. The kingdom of God is like a mustard seed, right? These are these evocative images that Jesus would have taught. And I think that while Matthew is providing us with a specific explanation, I wonder if Jesus was so specifically clear. And I also wonder if the explanation of the parable, while absolutely perfect for its context, maybe isn't right for ours. So I'm going to propose to you three different ways for us to wrestle with this parable this morning, with the belief that these parables will survive our generation and will continue to mean different things to different people. The first way we might look at this parable is to see God as the sower of the seed, and that we're the seeds. And the message to us might be very conscious of where you dwell. Be conscious of where your heart lives. Where have you planted your heart? Be conscious of where your mind lives. Where are you planting your minds? Who are the company that you keep? Where do you live? Who do you love? Where is your home? Your spiritual home, your physical home. This is important because while God has made you, and you are a beloved seed of the sower, and you have been thrown onto the ground with great care, your environment shapes you. Where the sun is, where the soil is, how much water there is, that shapes you. God has made you, but where you live matters. It shapes who you are, it shapes your heart, it shapes your mind and the mind of your offspring and children. It matters where you are planted. And it's something we have to be mindful of. Even though we're children of God, it matters where we're planted. We can see it as something, second way of looking at this, we are the sowers. We are the sowers, and the seeds are our works. Perhaps the seeds are our children. It matters where we plant our seeds. I'm thinking of Cole this morning. He's a beloved child of God. He's a beloved child now of this parish community. And it matters where he's planted. We can love him to death, but it matters where he is. We're living in a world where there's enormous peace in some places and great conflict and war in others. And it matters who we are loved by, who we love, where we live. And the third way could be very different. God is described as a sower who is throwing seeds. And we're living in a world with an abundance of life, and some life flourishes, and other life does not. We're living in a world where some people would say that life is a great and beautiful and wonderful gift to be cherished, and we have other people that would describe life as brutish and short. Some of us are born into war, some born into peace. Some of us are born into loving families, some into unloving families. So many of the things that we might see as a great achievement on our part was perhaps the result of our seed being thrown into a place with great soil. And other people that may see their lives as filled with failure and grief may have had their seed planted surrounded by thorns. Perhaps this is a message that says, do not take pride in what you have, in your achievements, in your wealth. Do not be ashamed if you have not achieved what you wish to have achieved. Do not be ashamed if you come from a place of poverty or a place of grief or violence. We are all seeds thrown with love by God. We are all beloved children of God. God makes no distinction between all the seeds. We are all loved, and some of us are thrown into good circumstances, some into bad, but we are all beloved children of God. These parables are alive. They are like seeds. And it seems that when we plant these parables in our heart, they continue to bear fruit throughout our lives and throughout the life of the church. Amen.